if anyone can relate to this point that I'm going to make right now, I believe it has the power to free you, which is you can't blame yourself for things that you couldn't control. And that is freedom. Because I remember the doctors would tell me, two separate doctors among the many doctors. One of them was the infectious disease doctor, and she said, there's nothing you could have done to prevent this. There's nothing that April could have done to prevent this. This was just a classic case of bad luck. That's humanly speaking. Spiritually speaking, Jesus is responding right here. Listen, it was neither him or the parents that as to the reason why this man was born blind. The man was born blind because it's an imperfect world that we live in, and people are going to experience certain things. But yet, there's hope, and the hope is this. It says here as we continue in verse 3, right? Neither this man or his parents have sinned, Jesus said, but this happened, and this is one of the focuses. This happened so that the works of God might be displayed in him. So this man born blind, begging for all of his life, apparently he's an adult now, because when the parents say, ask him yourself, he's not a little kid, he's of age, he can respond as to what happened to him. We have an indication that this is a grown-up person. And Jesus says, but this has happened so that the works of God might be displayed in him. The works of God might be displayed. I find two things that come out of that. When Jesus was on earth, he was doing miracles. Incredible miracles. Jesus is no longer on earth, and there's miracles being done all the time. I think what do I get from this? One of them is God, there's works of God that are going to be seen in our midst. Not just in our era, in our time frame, literally in our lives, like in Gabe's life, my life, all of our lives. Because the works of God are not done. My daughter is a miracle child to begin with. When she was birthed, my wife and I couldn't have kids for 7 years. So doctors told my wife, you're not going to have kids, woman. April showed up 7th year. Boom. And that's a work of God. That's how I know God works, because it's a miracle in our own lives. And what are we going to get? What are we going to learn from this? I believe that we're going to be entering a season in our time together where we're going to speak these things into existence. That the works of God would be displayed. So when people are going through something, why am I going through this? Why do I have this issue, this situation, this challenge, this difficulty? We're going to believe into this word where it says, so that the works of God might be displayed. Because life is going to happen. So what do we do with it? Well, you do the best you can. You take care of yourself. But you depend on God to do something. You depend on God to give you strength. You depend on God to give you the opening. You depend on God to free you from that difficulty. But we can also try and pray and declare and depend on God to do a miracle in that life. And I'm already at the point in my life where I know miracles are real. There are sometimes unexplainable things. And so let's pray for people. Let's be a community of folks that believe in a God that can do miracles. Let's be a community of people when someone comes with a problem, a situation, a difficulty, a sickness, an illness, whatever the case may be, that we would have enough faith to pray and say, listen, we're with you. We'll pray with you. We'll go through life with you. We'll support you in the process. Count me in if you need something. And at the same time, we will be praying for God to do a miracle in your life. Because we don't know if that situation is there for many reasons, and one of them could be to display God's good works. Because I like what it says, but this happens so that the works of God might be displayed. It didn't say so that the works of God will be displayed. And I think the word might is like, we don't know. I don't know if I pray for you right now for that sickness, it'll go away. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. I don't know. All I know is that our job is to pray for it. to pray for you and to say, God, would you do this in their life? Will you make this miracle happen? Will you free this person from this addiction or this problem or this situation, this difficulty? Will you deliver them from that thing that they're dealing with? And we might see it. But only time will tell, and only prayer and doing the actual activity of praying for people will we know. This happened so that the works of God might be displayed. And I love verse 4. As long as it is day, we must do the works of him who sent me. As long as it is life, as long as we're living, as long as there's time on earth, we must, not we should, maybe it'd be a good idea. It is we must do the works of him who sent me.